Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Fear It Goes. Today we have an incredible import. We have someone who has come to this country who offers something absolutely beautiful, and I'm so excited to share his story with you. His name is Nirmit Gire. His story starts in Mumbai, and it's the journey that he takes to where he is today. And I want to welcome him and you along this journey through the eye of a lens. Welcome to Fear It Goes, the podcast all about taking your fears with you and doing it anyway. I'm your host, Brandy Taylor. I want to welcome you here, Nirmit. It's such a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thank you for joining us at Fear It Goes.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You have quite an interesting journey that you have taken, not only leaving your country, but coming into a new country and then being kicked out, and and how you survived it all.
Oh man, it's yeah, you're right. You're right. It's an interesting journey. And now that I think about it, it's you know how you end up wherever you are, you end up comparing your life with someone else's, and you think, nah, it's not that interesting. But I'm one of those lucky guys who would just say that, you know what, this is not really bad. This is very interesting.
You have had a very interesting life, and I'm really grateful that you're here to share it with people. So I think we should start with where you grew up and why you chose to leave there, and then move on from there. So let's start with, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Mumbai, or Bombay, like we still call it, but you know, whatever you call Bombay, Mumbai, it's the same place. I stayed there till I was 21, and I moved to Canada after that. I came here to study. The reason I left, I studied advertising media management.
Right.
I studied for 1 year. I worked for 2, and my visa expired, so they kicked me out. But yeah, so but actually I wanted to answer your first question too. Why did I leave India to begin with? To be very honest with you, I left India because I was very, very insecure about how things were going on over there, because number one, there's a massive population in India, all billions. Yes.
Right.
They're all struggling towards one goal, and that is success. So now imagine if you want to be an actor in Hollywood, you are fighting against how many people? Let's say 10, just as an example. But at the same time, if you want to be an actor in India, you're fighting against, or you're competing against 100 people.
Right.
So now that is the case with every industry. And I really wanted to, you know, get into the media industry, and I wanted to make a lot of money, just like any kid would want to do. But I saw the number of people over there. I was so scared. I was so insecure. I thought, no, this is not going to happen. My only other option is to just go outside where there's less people. So it takes a lot for me to accept this as a fact, that I felt a bit scared, and it was a very I don't want to use a negative word, but it was a very cowardish thing to do.
I don't find it necessarily cowardice. I find it interesting that you felt you had to remove yourself physically from a location to compete and come somewhere else. It's interesting that you chose that route instead of, I just think Blue Ocean, right? That, like,
oh yes.
Such a great book. But just kind of adapting how you're going to offer your services. You just thought, I'm just going to remove myself and put myself in a new situation that will allow this to be Blue Ocean. I'm always curious how people come to their own conclusions, and I find that fascinating.
It is, but you know what? You're right. I was in my early 20s, and I did not know any better. And there's always this notion of self-doubt. So that is exactly how it started. But it's only when I landed on Canadian soil did I realize, oh my God, that was one major leap. what was I thinking? And that's when I realized, okay, this isn't not really this is not that bad. I did not do anything wrong. There's no self-respect appreciated in my own eyes, if you will. It turned out to be a very good decision. Now I have international experience that is of course valued everywhere. Doesn't matter where you are, in Canada, in India, in Australia, Dubai, wherever you go. International experience is what is appreciated. That people like to see international experience. So you're bringing more to the table.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it turned out to be a lucky mistake.
A very lucky mistake and a great adventure.
And a great adventure. Amazing adventure, actually.
So you come to Canada, you take your schooling here, and then you do some work, and then your visa runs out. And there's no way to do your visa, and they boot you.
Yes.
How did you get back in?
I was so heartbroken the first time I left, because Canada was the first country I went to out of India. And I came here, I got this crazy culture shock. And I was so whitewashed. And then when I was sent back, I was really heartbroken, and I realized that, okay, you know what, this is not for me. I can't really do this. I have to go back. So since that time, okay, let's say 2015 was when I put my papers, my immigration papers, and it took so many years for me to get it. I would have come here sooner, but because it took so long, I had an opportunity to travel around the world, go to different places, go to the Middle East, go to Australia, and work there and get all this amazing experience. But when I came back, it was last year. Actually, today, it's so funny. Today, the 1st of June, I complete 1 year in Canada.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, happy birthday. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. It is.
I guess it would be, yes, it would be an anniversary.
But
happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you very much. But to answer your question, how I got in was a difficult thing, because since the time I applied, the government changed, and the government changed the immigration rules. Right. So my application was rejected a couple of times just because the rules changed, and it did not fit the category. But now I'm here. It finally got processed, and I've been here 1 full year, and I cannot be any happier.
I'm going to tell the audience. So I came across Nirmit on Instagram, and it was a photo. I don't know how I came across this photo, but it was beautiful. And then I read the post. And you have an uncanny way of bringing something to life. So you have these beautiful photos, and you take beautiful photos.
Thank you so much.
And then you bring it to life through the history you tell of the place that you've taken this photo from. And it changes the dynamic. I mean, like I said, like I saw the photo and I went, wow, this is really pretty. I have to go like this. And I don't spend a ton of time on social media, but when I do, I tend to look for something that's drawing something out of me, an experience out of me, or enriching me in some way. And I found that with your photo. And then reading the actual post itself changed everything for me. And that's actually why I invited you originally, why I invited you to have a conversation, to see what else was there, because this is such an interesting way of representing a visual through your Instagram account.
Well, whatever you just said gave me goosebumps, because that is exactly what I wanted to do, just let people know, not just about fancy burger joints or fancy places where you can drink, but value the history, because that is where I learned from other people's mistakes.
What made you decide to post like that? Honestly, like I said, to me, that was a very beautiful, accidental stumble upon account. I honestly can't remember exactly how I came across your account, but I'm so grateful I did.
Can I be very honest with you? There were 2 reasons how I ended up over there. Number one, I'm fascinated by history. I love how I love the evolution of how people used to live. there is so much to learn, because the thing is that if we do not know our history, we are tend to make those mistakes over and over again.
Right.
But if you remember them, and if you learn from other people's mistake, then you are a pure genius. That is why history is very important to me. I'm not saying I'm a genius, but if you learn from it, then you don't have to fall and learn all the time.
You
There
don't
are
have to.
times when you
Right.
exactly, you don't have to experience the bad things and learn from every time. Yes, there are times when it is necessary, but many times you can just get by learning from someone else's mistake.
And we
And
see
that
time
is
and time
why
again how
ex-
history repeats itself.
exactly, and that is because people did not value the importance of learning history. And that is why I'm so much fascinated by history, and I write about it. Number two is because I saw this the way Instagram has changed people's lives. People put all the philosophical lines under a selfie, and I thought, how is that too connected? That does not make any sense. If you show me a single mother struggling, and then you write a how do I put it, an inspirational quote, then that
Yeah.
makes sense to me. But
Right.
I don't want to see your bathroom selfie and talk about, and your description is all about how you reach success. That doesn't make any sense. And I thought, if those two things are not connected and people are still buying it, then why not this? If I show them a fancy building of Dubai, but tell them how Dubai was struggling in the 80s, or before that, till the time oil was found, then wouldn't that make more sense than randomly seeing bathroom selfies and inspirational quotes that they have nothing to do with?
Right. Connect the dots.
Exactly. So here's a fancy picture, and here's a history lesson. Go enjoy.
I love that you do that.
Thank you.
The world needs lots of people like that. Because that's genuine value. I think that content has genuine value. I get something from that. And I get it from twofold. I get it from a visual, which is beautiful, and then I have a history piece on the back end, well, or front, but I get this history piece that I didn't know about, and it opens me up to another culture that I'm unfamiliar with, or that piece of that culture that I was unfamiliar with. And I love that. I always want to be opened.
Thank you so much. The purpose is served. I appreciate at least someone out of all the people came up to me and they told me, this is, I really appreciate it. I feel like I should do this more often now.
See, it's your calling. It seems to be. It's why we're having this conversation today, which is so great. Okay, so you got booted from the country.
Yes.
You have traveled around to different places, and you've basically had, I think it's very funny that out of negative experiences, or what we perceive as negative, right? Okay, so I'm kicked out of a country that I want to stay in. We think that this is the worst thing in the world, but really what it ended up doing was opening doors to you to be able to go to places like Dubai and work,
right,
and places like Australia and work and expand and meet people and learn history, and then bring that back and offer that out through your account. I love serendipitous moments, even though we don't think that's what it is.
it is. I don't know. It just happened. It just happened. You are right about that. When one door closes, a million others would open. You just have to be strong enough mentally to be able to see that. And if you crack that code, if you understand that, then nothing can pull you down, and you definitely can achieve your goals, whatever you've set them to be.
So speaking of goals, okay, so you made it a goal to leave Mumbai.
Yes.
Came to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Did you achieve your goals did you achieve your goals like coming over here? You said, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to I'm going to cut this because this is just veering off in a different direction. I don't want to go.
No, it's okay. It's all good. It's all good. But you can still ask me whatever you want to ask me. It's okay.
I do want to ask kind of what life was like growing up in Mumbai, because I don't know anything about it at all.
Life in Mumbai was very, very different. Number one, I come from a middle class family in Mumbai, which means that I am nothing like what you saw, like one of those kids that you saw in Slumdog Millionaire. I
Right.
come from a middle class family, so I was privileged to a certain extent.
Right.
I could go to school. I had regular clothes. They were washed, cleaned. Food was on the table every time I was hungry, or maybe when I was not hungry, it was ready. So I had that privilege. I did not have the privilege of, let's say, a regular American kid or a regular, I don't know, let's say European kid, but I had my privileges and it wasn't that bad.
Did you see it that way
Growing,
when you were a kid?
sorry, say that again, please.
Did you see it that way when you were growing up?
No, of course not. As a kid, you never ever appreciate what you have. Never. No matter how much your parents do for you as a kid, it is never enough. And um, I feel sad. Of course, grew up and I told my parents, I told my mom and dad, sorry for being a for being an annoying kid, but and I'm thankful you put up with me. I wouldn't. I wouldn't put up with myself. But life
That's
in
you
life in
now.
India was very beautiful because food was ready, laundry was done. School was nothing but a place to hang out with friends. The food was always so tasty. People with different emotions. It is so different because I grew up in India in the 90s. It's amazing. We literally saw the rise and fall of cassettes, CDs, USB keys, and all of that within the in the in the safe environment of your family.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. But yeah, I definitely saw crazy, crazy, crazy amount of people. So nothing surprises me when people go to Eden Center on Sunday and they complain about how many people there are. I'm like, yeah, okay, all right.
Like, this is a quiet day.
This is a quiet day. Exactly. You're lucky. You're lucky. You're
So your
lucky to have
family
this.
still lives in Mumbai?
Half of my family. My sister moved to Australia. She had her own goals. My mom is in Australia with her right now.
Hmm.
She's a homemaker, so she's now that the kids are all grown up, she chills. She goes to US, she goes to Australia, she stays in Mumbai. But my father, he has his own business in Mumbai, so he doesn't get. He travels a lot, by the way, but he doesn't get to live outside of India for a very long time. He's a biggie in Bollywood. He's a makeup artist, and
Nice.
he's traveled all around the world. Um, so which also exposed me to Bollywood. So I have met literally every Bollywood star as a kid.
You did live a privileged life.
I did live a very privileged life. Yeah, no, but it's funny because it's there, but it's not almost, but it's not there yet. How do I put it? Because my father was a makeup artist, and at that time, makeup artists were not as respected as they are today.
Yeah.
Um, I was just a makeup artist kid, and I was exposed to all those things. It's like the I can see the fruit hanging, but all I can do is just see. Whatever other people could see on TV, I could see that in real, but not participate in it.
Right.
That is the struggle of middle life.
But I think it's kind of interesting because that's more behind the scenes. Like the things that are said and shared in that chair are
Hmm.
quite different than what people perceive outside for this person who is famous.
That is true. That is very true.
It's
I
kind
just
of the
happen.
underbelly or it's kind of the underbelly of that person because it's the moment that they get to just be them. They get to be them mad. They get to be them having a really shitty day, or they get to be them having an exciting, awesome day.
That is true. You get to witness all that, but never get to participate in it.
Yeah. Interesting. And did you ever just kind of like hang out with your dad on days that he was working?
I did. I did. People were generally nice to me because at that time you're a kid, so people don't shoo you away. Just like imagine if I would just walk into a set where I do not belong, they would of course not have
They
me
would have
there.
kicked you out. Yes, of course.
Yeah, they would easily. Just I wouldn't be surprised. I'd just walk out, just make their lives easy. But as a kid, people were of course very nice to me. But how do I put it? So I was lucky enough to go to a movie set, but I was not lucky enough to be a part of a. I mean, I don't know how to put it. I was lucky enough to be there, but I wasn't lucky enough to participate in it. That is the best way I can put it. Out of all the people who want to live that life, I could be there right next to them, witness it, but not be able to live that life. If that makes any sense, because I used to hang out with all the, or not exactly hang out, but at least know all the movie stars,
Right.
but only when they were right in front of me. And
Right.
it makes you strive, it makes you want to have that life, which is even worse because all my friends who are in front of their TV, they don't really know what kind of lives they live, and it's better when they don't know if you're not going to get it.
Right.
uh, but I was there, and it was one of those, it's such a tease, when you see them living the most amazing life, but then you go back home and then people love you because you got to witness all of that. But how am I supposed to tell them, oh, I just witnessed it, I didn't really live that life?
Right.
So it's a weird thing.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why you decided to go into marketing? Like, why did you choose the path you did?
um you know what, you're right, that is actually the reason I got into the whole marketing industry, because I saw that from an early age, and I did not have that. um I did not have what other people had when it comes to finance, when it comes to respect, and I really wanted to get that. That is why I chose media. Um, and but it was like I said, when I studied media, I had all these plans. But got it, when I got out there, and when I tried to break into the market, I realized, oh my God, I'm not the only one. Ah,
How do I
yeah,
make myself stand out in an ocean of 1 billion
it's
people, 2 billion people? Yes.
2 billion people. That is exactly true, and it's crazy the number of people who come to Mumbai on a regular basis to make it big. How am I supposed to compete against all those people? I overthinked about it, and that's how I ended up here. But like we discussed about this, it was a lucky mistake, and it did help me stand out. So a little bit of luck, a little bit of hard work, and a lot, and a lot of prayers and well wishes from my family.
And a lot of believing in yourself, because ultimately, in the end, you could have just quit,
That is true.
which is what happens with a lot, right? A lot of people
It
are like,
does.
this is my dream. Oh, it's not
Hmm.
going the way I think it's going to go. And so, therefore, I'm just going to veer direction and do something completely different. And
It is, but it's funny how. Okay, I'm going to tell you something that is going to. I don't know if you'll find it interesting, but literally every mistake I made, somehow I learned something from it, and till today, till today, I benefit from it. So, like I said, I belong to a middle class family. I had all the basic necessities, but I did not have
the
anything
extras.
extra. So for example, imagine if your kid is interested in hockey, but you cannot afford the hockey equipment because, let's be honest, it is very expensive. The very same way it was like that for me for when it came to cricket. You know the
Right.
game, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
the cricket gear and everything, I could play it on the streets, but I could not play for it in my school because parents have to pay for that. And I saw the struggle. I did not want to pressurize them. So what I did was I started doing parkour. Do you know anything about parkour?
Oh, I know all about parkour. Parkour is
Perfect.
cool. You do parkour?
I do parkour, yes. And that's how it started. I started doing parkour because it requires zero equipment. All you need is just your environment and your running shoes, and your
And some
creativity.
flexibility and some strength
Uh,
and some talent.
well, it comes. I mean, you that is something that you can develop over the period of time.
Right.
But you have to start somewhere. So that is how it started. I started doing parkour. I started doing stunts. I started working as a stunt double for a short period of time.
I can see that.
Um, so I know how it is to climb places safely and get from point A to B. Um, and I still use those skills to do my pictures.
I would not doubt that.
And because what other photographers cannot achieve, of course, by all means, they can be better than me when it comes to actual creativity. But reaching places, getting that perfect angle,
Right.
I know I have an upper hand on it because unknowingly, I was preparing for it all my life.
I love how that translates into your photography. I love that.
So I did not know. See how one thing can lead to another. You don't really know, but
Right.
it is benefiting you. You don't know that. You do not appreciate it right now, but it is. You're learning from it, and it is going to stay with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it does. So many experiences we have build upon the last to get us where we are right now, and very powerful ways now, even though we didn't think they were that powerful when we were learning them or that they had any relevance whatsoever.
Exactly my point, and that is why I value everything that I have. Because when I realized that, oh my God, I am learning, I am utilizing what I learned when I was 19.
Right.
Today, it just opened my eyes and it made me value things that I have right now. What I till yesterday thought that it was, it is insufficient. I started valuing them more. Now I think, oh my God, this is really nice. The reason I call in the very beginning of the interview or in the beginning of our conversation, I told that I was privileged is because now my perception is different. If you had asked me about this some time back, I would have said, oh yeah, I had a very difficult upbringing, but now I look at things so differently, right? I look at things and I think, no, I was very privileged. I did not know then, but I know now.
There is a lot to be said about perception, and I've talked about this in my podcast in the past, but about the perception we have and the gratitude that we hold for the experiences. And if I'm always looking at the experience from a negative perspective, I don't get the gift from the experience.
You're
I'm
right. You're
missing it.
absolutely right.
I'm missing it. And honestly, I'm grateful for everything every day. There is so much we get in a day. And I've been thinking my thoughts have been very heavy into the gifts that we receive every single day, from different people, experiences, whatever flows through our day. It's continuously gifting us. It's just a matter of whether we are aware of those gifts. And sometimes they're just small and sometimes they're really big.
That is true. That is true. At times you don't even think that it exists, but it's only it's only later on in your life do you realize, oh my God, no, this was the best thing that ever happened to me. But you know what the most important thing is out of that, when time comes, be smart enough to appreciate it, be open
Open.
to understand different ways of looking at it. Don't be so close. Don't hold that hate in your heart. Don't do that, otherwise you're not going anywhere.
It's true. It's true. Okay, so I had a really funny experience, and this just kind of represents what we're discussing. So I wrote a novel in a month, quite a few years back now. And in the process of this, at one point, I'm writing every day, and these characters are just kind of flowing out of me now. And I feel like I'm the conduit, and I'm just typing. And I'm about 3 or 4 pages into this one scene, and I don't understand why the main character is doing what she's doing. And I'm literally speaking to my computer out loud, going, why are you doing this? I'm just going to end up deleting all this. This is so stupid. Oh my God. And then, bam, the protagonist walks around the corner and everything makes sense. It's all relevant. And then I literally had a quick moment where I went, oh my God, I foreshadowed this 2 chapters ago. Oh my God.
This
And
is amazing.
And it's so hilarious because I had no idea that anything that I'd written 2 chapters ago was actually leading up to this, or that this scene that I thought I was going to throw out ended up being such a pivotal moment in the story, and it was absolutely important. But that's kind of us in life, right? We have all these weird little things going on in our day that we think have no relevance or no significance.
Hmm.
And then, bam, something happens. You realize it all has significance.
It does. It does. You see, you're one of those smart ones who actually understood it, but there are some people who still struggle with it. They still hold things responsible when it's not. It's how do I put it? Um, you were smart enough to understand that. Okay, you know what? It's good that I didn't delete anything because now everything makes sense. But some people still are struggling with that, and
And they just want to delete it.
Yeah,
Like,
they just want to
don't.
delete it. So everyone, whoever is listening to this podcast, I would like to tell them, whatever you have done, don't get rid of it. Hold on to it. I know somewhere someone will appreciate it. Look at me. I had no idea Brandy would ever call me and we would do this, but who knew? Who knew that I would be sharing my story with so many people, right?
And
So
someone would reach out through an Instagram account.
exactly,
And now you're
exactly.
on a podcast and we're having a discussion and we're sharing it with a whole bunch of people who may or may not have ever acknowledged what it's like to, one, immigrate into a country or the problems that exist around that, or what it's like to live in a city of or a place of 2 billion people and the challenges that arise from that. And you get to share it with all of us privileged Canadians or whomever is listening to this. Actually, there's quite a few Canadians and Americans that listen to this, and then there's some in Japan. So, some Japan, few in Australia. There's some interesting dynamics of where people are listening from, but the majority of them are sitting in more of a privileged state in general, right? Because even when we're middle class here, we just assume, I shouldn't say this because that's not necessarily true, but I'm just thinking about my kids and we have discussions around this and they still don't really fully understand how privileged a life they are, but they're kids and that's normal.
Right. It's normal. It's a part of growing up. What is more
Yes.
important is when they come of age, they realize it by themselves. But I do tell this to all my colleagues as well who have kids. If you think that your kids are being how they are, and if you think that they do not appreciate what you provide to them, instead of taking them to a fancy European tour, let's just for 1 week, whatever you're going to spend in Europe in 1 week is exactly what you're going to spend for 1 whole month or 2 months in India. Take them there, spend some time over there, and when they realize what other people, and not just India, it could be any other country, it could be any other third world country, you take them, they see it with their own eyes, they will actually realize how beautiful life is, being your kid, and how lucky they are to be born on Canadian soil.
I can honestly say the first time I ever traveled overseas, I went to Greece. And it's a second world country, and I didn't know that. I just assumed it was a first world country. It seemed like that when I landed. I was young. I was in my early 20s. And my first experience with cultural differences really woke me up to what I had in Canada. And when I spent three and a half months there, I loved Greece. It was an amazing country, and I'm so grateful for my time there. But when I came home, I cannot tell you how grateful I was to be a Canadian woman at home.
See, it just opens up your eyes, right?
It certainly did. And that's why I find travel so absolutely important in our development of understanding cultures and understanding and relating to the people around us, regardless of where we are.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It's all about experience. Once you experience that, once you learn that, nothing can take that away from you. That experience. There's a massive difference between watching a documentary and personally going there and experiencing it.
Well, and I feel that shifts your perspective forever. You would never go back in knowing I live a privileged life. Like, this is how I live here. It's not the same as there. I can't pretend it's the same as there. I've been there. I've experienced it. I've met the people. We've had the conversations. I now know. I can't plead ignorance. And you wouldn't anyways. It shifts and alters that perception and opens you more to being a much better person to other people and cultures and having more respect for your own.
Exactly. It actually makes you start loving things that you absolutely despised. To be honest, I'll tell you something, and this is controversial, but I do not hate governments anymore. I mean, when I came here, people were like, "Oh, the government isn't doing this; they are doing that." But I keep telling them, you know what? Who they are? They are people like us who go do their jobs, and they're trying their level best. They're doing way better than any other countries, if you think about it. If you try to compare what our appointed ministers or politicians are doing for us, I mean, they're doing way better than what other countries are doing for their citizens, if you have to compare. But I do understand. I can definitely say that there are certain ways where we can improve. But if you look at the whole picture, like an overall picture, we're doing way, way, way better than any other country. And that is why the whole feeling of hatred towards anything has just left from my heart. It's just gone. I could be one of those annoying positive guys, but hey, I am way happier in my life than someone who is not. Just makes your life easy.
It does. It makes your life much, much easier. I would agree. And releasing anger over things we have zero control over. Like, one of the biggest lessons I learned was that I can't control what someone else does. I can't. I can hope, I can try and influence, I can try and dictate, but that person ultimately makes their choices, and it aligns with what I want or it does not. And I can't change that, but I can change the way that I see it.
That is true. But put it on a t-shirt. I'd wear it.
Can't change you, but I can change the way I see you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it does really help us live happier lives. Do I always want to be angry at the world? No, not really.
No, not really. You know what? Because I was one of those angry teenagers, I realized one thing, that, oh my God, being angry is so tiring.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. Like, oh my God, this is I'm so tired of hating on everything. I'm so exhausted. I just want to go home now, and I just want to be I just want to appreciate. I just want to go hug my mom and my dad, and just want to tell them, oh my God, I'm sorry, I was so bad, and so difficult to deal with.
Either. Because just as much as your experiences have led you down the path and they are all relevant, same with them. Trust me, as a parent, and I can honestly say this now, as a parent, I learn more from my kids than I teach them. And trust me, I am constantly trying to teach them to the point where they just want to shoot me more times than not. They're like, oh, Mom, not this again. But they are always teaching me and guiding me and expanding me and helping me be a better person, because I get to see things from a very different perspective than I ever would have without them. So trust me, you never have to really apologize. Just thank them.
That is true. That is exactly why families are, right? You learn. Doesn't matter what role you play in a family, you learn from each other. That is why families are so important. Yes. I keep telling everyone.
And so you are now in Toronto, right?
Yes.
Yep. And you moved across an ocean.
Mm-hmm.
You moved across an ocean, and you now live in Toronto. And what's it like being by yourself and it's still a fairly large city, but nothing in comparison. What's it like?
It's very different. People are, I don't understand, but people are very busy. Yeah. They're always in a rush. People are always in a rush. I mean, if you think about it, they are not late, but I mean, I'd include myself in, because I live here now. We are never late, but we are always in a rush. Have you seen that?
I find Toronto just has its own feel. And I've traveled Canada about 8 times, and I've been to almost every province but 2. And I still feel Toronto as a whole is like no other place in this country.
It is amazing. It is one of a kind, because that is exactly why I came back. There was no way I could not come back. I mean, I had so many options of being everywhere, right? But it just pulled me back.
There is something to be said too. Like I love Montreal for very different reasons than I love Toronto. And I love Vancouver for very different reasons than I love even places on the island, on Vancouver Island, because the pace is different and people's attitudes are different on the East Coast than they are the West Coast.
The West Coast, true.
Yeah. The East Coast people are it's a different world there.
It is. And see, this is something that you cannot explain, but you have to experience. So no matter how much we try to explain this or talk about it, there's no way a listener would be able to experience it by just listening. They would have to come here. They would have to experience it firsthand to actually understand that what exactly these guys were talking about. There's no way. I in my vocabulary, I have no words that I'd be able to explain how amazing it is to live here.
That's such a beautiful thing to say. Because again, people from their own countries tend to just take it for granted, and and then we see people who come, they fight, they struggle, they do whatever it takes to get into the country and to be able to stay here and stake their claim in a new place and start a new life.
It is. People have managed to do that, and they are definitely more appreciative of things that are over here.
Yeah. Have your parents had a chance to visit?
Oh yes, I tried to. I want to keep my parents close, right? Because now they're almost retired.
Right.
So last time I was here, I called my mom. So what I thought was let her come during summer and let her stay for a long time, so she can see the transition from summer to winter. Come fall, she was gone. She was like, "No, this
is darn cold.
This is very, very cold." Yeah. She stayed till Nuit Blanche, and then she's like, "Okay, nope, I'm going back to India. This is way too cold for me." And I don't blame her. At that age, adapting to a weather so harsh, is going to be a bit difficult. So I don't blame her. I tried. I gave her an option. She can come stay close to me. If not, it's okay. I'll go and visit her. It's all good.
It's really beautiful here in the winter.
Yeah, oh my gosh, she'll disown me if I trick her like that.
It is so funny because I grew up here. I was born here. I've lived here almost my whole life, and I still am not comfortable with our winters.
Oh yeah, you can never be. It's not in human nature, but we struggle and we strive, and that's what makes us Canadians.
Love it. Love it. I wanted to ask you about your Instagram account. So what are you doing with your Instagram account? Because I know you use it as a tool, and I'm going to let you fill in the rest of that blank.
Okay, so when I was in Dubai, I started working as a freelancer with Dubai and Abu Dhabi tourism. Now, if you've seen any of the ads on Instagram or anywhere else, even if you just Google search, you know that Dubai's key selling point is, of course, oil and tourism. The beautiful, beautiful buildings. It's like a city from the future. If you go to the Middle East, if you go to Dubai, not any Middle Eastern city, but let's just say Dubai or Abu Dhabi, I have never seen wealth, or I have never seen a city so beautiful, and it's just there's no way I can explain things. Just the buildings of the highest. I mean, the tallest building is there, the world's biggest. I mean, people over there in average are just so wealthy. So everywhere you go, literally everywhere you point your camera, it's a beautiful image, and that is their key. That is their selling point. And as a photographer, I had to capture all that and send them pictures. And as a photographer, I had to go and capture all of that. But what they do is they do a lot of influencer marketing. So they call all the biggies from Instagram and YouTube. They invite them to Dubai. They give them free stay, free experience. And what my job was to capture them having a good time and send all the pictures to Dubai Tourism so that they can post it on their social media. And that is exactly how influencer marketing works. And I realized how much I love to do pictures of buildings and not portraits.
Yep.
So I started mixing the two. That's how I started, because I had to keep both of them happy. The influencer, because he or she would be posting those pictures on their own Instagram.
Right.
And Dubai Tourism would also want those pictures to serve their purpose. So I tried to mix the two, and that became my style. That became another happy mistake, or lucky mistake. I started mixing portraits with architecture.
Yeah.
And if you go see my Instagram, there would hardly be any pictures of just the architecture or just nature. There are some pictures where I don't want to disturb the the serenity of that place, so I try not to include any model or anyone in the picture, but literally every picture would have one person in the middle with beautiful landscape in the background, and that has become my style,
And
and that
signature.
and signature,
Yeah.
if you will. And that is how I got the current job that I have. I work at an architectural firm. I do pictures for them full time, 9 to 5. And
Nice.
on the weekends, just like any other photographer, I'm open to other freelance work, which I also get from Instagram, because nowadays what people like to do in their wedding pictures, for example, is they try to make it look so cinematic
Right.
that it's not just those key moments.
Right.
It is about how beautiful can you make me and my wife look in this background.
Yeah.
So I take my Instagram very seriously, and that is how I do business. I show people what I can achieve, what can be done with mundane things, and I can make regular things look really beautiful. And it'll change your perception too.
And there might be a little history lesson in there somewhere.
Oh yes, that too. It has to serve multiple purposes.
I love that. As it should. Most things in life should serve more than one purpose. It's
Of
rare
course.
we actually serve just one purpose in that moment. It's
No,
rare.
then it becomes too boring. Every time you look at it, it should strike something different. Um, if I try to capture you and your husband, or you and your kids, every time you look at that picture, you will appreciate something different. And that is what my goal is, to not make it look um, not to make it look like someone else's picture, but it should strike a different emotion every time we look at it.
And it tells a different story. So you're
It
catching
tells a
little
different
things that
story.
are, yeah, bits and pieces of the story that you get from the whole. It kind of reminds me of this quote that it's my favorite quote of all times. And every time I read that quote, something else is drawn up. I resonate with a different part of it because of either something that's happening in my life at that time, or it just is more impactful in the moment. And I love that. I love that we get many experiences from one thing.
Yep, that is true.
And a photo definitely can do that.
And yeah, that is just me trying to change people's perception. You know how people are always self-doubting?
Yeah.
Here, you look at yourself from a third person's point of view,
Yeah.
and you see how beautiful of a person you are.
I love that that's what you're doing. So we talked about changing perspectives, and that's what you do through the eye or the eye of your lens, the lens of your
Yep.
camera. Yes. And you get to gift that to people
I get to
or
give that to
places.
people. I like to see how happy they are, the reaction, and the history bit is for myself.
But also fascinating, just saying.
But oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That you think like that. I really like that.
I'm positive I am not the only person that thinks like that. What is Instagram account? Uh-oh.
It is My Instagram account is my first name and my last name, Nirmit Gire, and that's my Instagram account.
I'm just going to ask that again because my mic popped out and now has come back in. So, and what is your Instagram account?
My Instagram account is my first name and my last name, Nirmit Gire. I'll spell it out for you. It is Nirmitgire, Nirmit Gire.
Fantastic. So now people know how to find you and how to do work with you because your work is beautiful.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome. And I think that kind of wraps up our conversation. Is there anything else that you want to talk about that I have not talked on, that you want to represent about?
Yes.
Bring it.
It's a kind of a it's kind of a lesson that I learned in my whatever little experience I have had. Whatever comes your way, don't be scared. Don't doubt yourself so much, because when you doubt, you have already lost the battle. Um, there's only a chance of winning if you give it a try, and that is exactly what happened with my career as a photographer. I started photography not too long ago. I started 3 years back. I literally got my first camera, like my professional camera, in 2016, and which means that I started photography when I was 26, way later than all the regular photographers. And you know what? That was the best decision I've ever made. All you have to do is just trust yourself. Trust yourself. Just stop thinking of yourself as you are under someone. You're definitely not above someone. Don't be too cocky. You need to understand that you are in line with everyone, and you're not underneath. You're not below anyone. So, number one, once you start respecting yourself, then only then will work come to you. Only then will other people will start respecting you. If you
I
see yourself as someone who cannot do it, then other people will definitely not be able to see any other way. Even they will be convinced, because you are not confident. If you convince yourself that you can do it, then other people will see it, and they will follow you. I learned this. Everyone learns it. I'm not the only one. I just wish that I had learned it sooner.
Finding your own value is absolutely key to success in life, period. Once we see our own value and we know what we bring to the table, we can offer something really great. But it's in the interim of figuring that value out. I think that's what you're talking about. It's that moment before you understand.
Exactly. People get influenced all the time. People get influenced all the time, and you have to influence them. That you have to let them know in the most polite, in the most humble way possible, that you can do it, and that is how you grow. That is my way of working. I won't be backstabbing anyone. I won't be talking anything negative about my competition, but I will just let them know that I know I can do it.
Yep.
And once they see how confident I am, they will be confident.
It's honestly, when we bring value to the table, it's a gift we give to the others too, because then they don't have to worry about whether or not you can do this.
That is true.
Because you know you can. Yeah. And you just bring it.
Exactly. Look at you. You are doing this, right? I mean, how many other people do that, but you still do it. If you had doubted yourself, you would have never been able to reach where you are right now. But you have
seriously,
your
it took me 2
own.
yees to get this podcast actually first recorded, because I was totally doubting myself.
But look at you. You're doing so well now, and I'm so happy for you. It took you 2 hours. It took you 2 years. For some people, it might be less. For some people, it might be a lot more than just 2 years. But everyone reaches there. I just hope that through our conversation, someone else would be inspired to do what they have always been wanting to do. Because if you don't give it a try, you would never know. You would never know. One thing is for sure: if you don't try, it's not going to happen.
Well,
That is a given.
That's the gift that you just gave too when you talked about photography, because it's your main source of income. It's your main source of joy. And it was never something that was even a part of the picture for you up until 3 years ago. And how did you open up to photography? How did that even come into the landscape for you?
It connected, because it connected to what I used to do before, because like I said, I used to do parkour.
Right.
All the photographers would call me to do pictures of parkour. And that's how I got introduced to cameras. So I saw how they would talk to each other. When there are two photographers doing the same thing, there would be the main photographer, second photographer. They would ask me to do that jumps multiple times, and they would talk to each other. Oh my God, what were your settings? How was it this? How was it that? And I thought, you know what, this is so intriguing. I want to learn, because I wanted to be a better parkour model. So
right.
I wanted to give them what they wanted. And I could only do that if I understood their language. So I understood their language and I realized, oh my God, this is so beautiful. This is so amazing. So
Right.
I started doing pictures of my own. Of course, I couldn't be in front of the camera.
Right.
I would always be behind the camera. And I realized that what other people wanted to achieve, what those two photographers were talking about, this is the way to do it. Now I understand. And then I started improvising. Then I started making my own pictures. And since then I have been behind the camera.
Kind of funny how life leads us down a direction or a way that we never ever expected.
Nope. That is exactly why you should appreciate what you have right now. You never know what would trigger when.
Right.
You just don't know.
Cool. Nirmit, it's been such a pleasure having this conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Brandy. It was amazing. It's only when I spoke about myself did I start valuing myself even more now. I'm like, this is awesome. My life is beautiful.
Good. See,
Thank
gifts.
you. Exactly. See, appreciating what you have right now.
That's right.
That's amazing. Thank you. You contact, we got in touch, and this made me feel really good about myself once again.
Good. I'm glad that I could give that to you today, and I'm glad that you can gift so much to so many through the work that you do and through the podcast and the conversation we've had today. Thanks again. I really appreciate that.
I appreciate it. Thank you for spending time with me.
What an absolutely beautiful human being. I so enjoyed that journey with him. Now, for next week, peeps, we are going to talk about fun. We're going to talk about fun and how we should just incorporate fun into all the things we do and why we don't incorporate fun into the things that we do and how to do it in a way that still allows us to be productive, but really gives us all that we need to really accelerate our lives and be playful in our lives. So super excited to bring that to you next week. If you are liking what we're doing at Fear It Goes, come give us 5 stars. Come subscribe. And come comment, because honestly, I love hearing what you guys have to say. So go to fearitgoes.com under podcasts, and you'll see the latest podcast there. And you will also have a space to write your comments and send us questions or anything that you guys are interested in hearing. I would love to bring it to you. So until next week, my beautiful peeps, have an absolutely extraordinary week.